Welcome back, my butterflies. This is Sarah from One Hook, Two Hands. And guys, I am still trying to figure out the light from my office space light. So I beg your pardon as I try to figure this out and figure out how to do this. But welcome to WIP's Wednesday. And for those of you who are new, a WIP is just a work in progress. And I wanted to come on here and talk about my two oldest WIPs that I have in my stash. And they're the oldest for two different reasons. One is one that I personally started and created, or well, didn't create the pattern, but started and worked on, and then kind of got to this stopping place and haven't really finished. I don't know if it's part of it is I need some more yarn, or I just kind of got burnt out on it, but I'm ready to get back started and to finish it before the end of the year. And so part of this talking about our WIPs and like coming back on and refreshing is to hopefully help myself and others be accountable and move forward towards getting them complete. And I keep looking over here because my oldest one that I personally have started is over here staring at me in the face. Part of the reason it's out here staring me in the face is so I work on it. Now I do have some ministry stuff that WIPs that I have to work on, that I need to get done sooner. And I am in the process of working on those, hopefully to get all of those done by this weekend, if not almost done, so that I can focus on some of these other projects. But to go back and talk about this particular work in progress, I have to go back a little bit. So in 2015, 2016 were really hard years. My dad's one and only sister and my aunt, who was essentially a second mom to me, was diagnosed with bile duct cancer. For those of you who don't know, that's an extremely rare form of cancer that less than 2,000 people in the country have at a given time. And most of the time when my aunt was diagnosed with it, most people who found out they had it usually died within a month. I mean, that's the prognosis, was a month. My aunt was really rare and fortunate to make it 18 months at the time of her death, in 2016, which is why I said 2015, 2016 was kind of hard. And I found this pattern after it had been completely inputted out, but it was one of those work as you go patterns, and then they released all of the patterns to the public at the end of the year. So I think it started technically in 2016, but I found this pattern, and it was the SoCal 2015 crochet along. I think that's the name. I think I'm saying it right. Y'all, if I'm not, I apologize, but I really enjoyed it because I learned a lot of different techniques. I learned a lot of new stitches. It really challenged me to see outside of my normal crochet of just a granny square or just a repetitive pattern in making something. And so it really pushed me. And at the time I was looking at a bunch of yarns that I had both inherited from my aunt, from two ladies in the church who had passed away, and then from a family member of one of our church members. I'm a pastor's daughter, for those of you who don't know. And yes, I'm a believer, but as I said in one of my other videos, I believe in grace and truth. Basically, that means, yes, I take Jesus at his word, but I ain't mad about it, y'all. So, which is my dad's saying, and I fully agree with it. Because it's kind of how we've lived our lives the entire time. But that said, I inherited some yarns I probably wouldn't have picked for myself. I inherited some yarns that I probably wouldn't have, I never would have found a project for individually. But when I found that pattern, and it was just like each row do something different, I was like, oh, perfect, I can put these all together. And so I started calling them, and I know if you've seen this pattern, you know it's a pretty pattern, but I ended up calling it my oh gosh, what you do with the quilt, like the rag quilt, where you put like the memory quilt, where you put like a piece of somebody's wedding dress, and you put a piece of somebody's shirt, and you put a piece of the kids' clothing and whatever. Like, I have a blanket that is just clothing from my granny and her siblings growing up that my great grandmother made. Yes, the same one, the same one that taught me how to crochet left-handed. And so I took a bunch of this yarn from projects. Some of this yarn is things I made for myself. Some of it is for things I made, for example, my aunt, because I made her a bunch of hats and scarves and things as she was going through the different steps of chemo treatment. I did stuff for one of my, she's technically a step aunt, but we don't believe in steps because no. To quote my grandmother on that side of the family, I am not a step to be stepped on, and there's not a step in our family. And so I incorporated yarn that I'd used for making her hats, because she had ovarian cancer, and you'll see a lot of that ovarian blue in my dark one. And so I just incorporated these yarns, and then yarns that were given to me by, oh gosh, there's two that were really difficult, but women that I loved in our church who didn't really have a child who liked crochet or anything like that. And I ended up inheriting their yarn and some fabric, guys. And even now, I'm just starting to go through some of that. Yeah, I know. Even now, we're 2016. But starting with my aunt in March of 2016, we, in a 6-week period, lost 3 very important people to us. And so these blankets kind of just became more and more important, as well as we lost some other people. And so I just started crocheting, and like I said, it taught me different patterns, and I tried to figure out, okay, do I have enough of this ball of yarn left to do it? And occasionally I would have to go out and get yarn a little bit, especially for the brighter one that you're going to see over here. That's my unfinished work in progress. But this is my, I'm going to back you up just a little bit so you can see this kind of more fully. If I don't put you incorrectly and unbalance you. Okay, so this is the completed one that is my, yeah, I can never get it in a camera shot. I'll post a picture of it later, but this is the, this is the completed one in the dark colors, and it has been everywhere and around, and I use it for everything. You've probably seen it behind me at some point already, but yeah, this is the completed dark one. Over to my right, y'all's left, which we are now going to turn towards, we've got my, now hear me, I think I need to move you down just a little bit for you guys to really see. This is the Brights version, right? This is, again, every row is a little different. Got a bunch of different colors in it. These are left over from projects. Again, I'm not a bright color person, but this is really beautiful. And again, really heavy. And I will be keeping this one because, again, there are yarns in here that I use for projects for her, one of my other aunts. I got gifted from other people who have since passed. And so I just wanted to incorporate as much of that into these blankets. And so this, like I said, this is a 2016 blanket. I've got some of the colors here. I've got some of the colors in another bag, either up there or over here somewhere. But I just need to really get together and start finishing this blanket. And part of just having it out will help motivate me to work on it a round at a time. Because it is at the point with a blanket where it takes a minute to finish a row. So having it out here, because this kind of blanket is a lot more incorporated and a lot more in depth. And when it takes a lot more to do a row, sometimes you just need to have it in your face a little bit so that you will work on finishing the row. So I am keeping it out here. Okay, and now onto one that is important to me, but it's a little bit harder to explain because, oh, I did not look and see. Let's see. Let me think. There's great grandma, grandpa. I think this is my great grandmother, y'all. And if I have to correct it, I will word this over the stage or over the video. But one of the gifts that my great aunt Donna gave me when she passed away was this. This came to me. And this is a carpet bag, as you can see. This probably may or may not have come over with them or with their parents. I can't remember if it's with their parents because I'm doing real bad at my family history and I'm the genealogist. I'll have to look back up and tell you more of the story later. I may come back on and tell you more of the story later. But I don't know if you can see it real well, but there's a hand carved of her initials, Hilma Elizabeth Volkman. She was a Carlson. But she hand carved, like I said, we got this hand carved little handled carpet bag. And I was one of the ones in the family who crocheted. So came my way. Now, instead of this originally, I've got the actual project over here because I wanted to keep it safe. But she also had a couple little tools in here, which was just neat to be able to touch something she touched when you think about it. Because that's, well, most of my grandparents and great-grandparents passed away. Like my mom's mom died in childbirth when she was 7. Her mother's and father, my grandmother's mother and father also passed away within like 6 months of her. My great-grandparents on my grandpa's side, who I didn't know grandpa, but his parents passed away when I was really young. This is her. And so I didn't get to know hers much, but I wish I had. But to be able to have one of her crochet hooks, one of her little tools, although I feel like it's broken a little bit on here, matters a lot to me. As well as, so it's a nice little lined bag. Absolutely love it. Inside of it was this bag. And inside of this was actually most of what I'm about to show you. But she had this nice little, just patterned bag that I don't, probably hand embroidered, or she got the fabric somewhere like that and brought it with her. And again, I don't know how old this project actually is, y'all. That's the other side of this. At minimum, we know it had to have been 87. So as old as I am, it's almost 40 years old at the minimum. I don't know the actual age of this. And maybe if one of my family members does see this and actually knows the age of this project, please, I would be delighted to know. And I'm very carefully taking this out because I put it in this little bag because I wanted to help seal and protect it a little bit. And you'll see what I mean as I start to pull this out. To have this bag, to have this project means the world to me. To have something that they touched, that's something that they were building. And I think, and again, I'm not 100% sure, it could be a doily, but I really think, just given some of the coloring and some of the stuff, I think she was doing because they were, I can't remember if that side was the Swedish or the German Lutheran church, but I feel like this is a cathedral veil, like a prayer veil for somebody in that. And so she's got these little motifs here, and I don't know if you can see them real well, that are kind of like they're either crosses or like four-leaf clovers or something to that effect. And there's lots of these little ones, so I'm putting these back in so that I don't drop them, because I have dropped them before. Next is this fillet piece that I have yet to figure out what the actual pattern is. So if, again, anybody sees this and knows and recognizes it, please let me know, because I would love to know what the actual pattern is so I can complete it. Then there is this little circle piece that goes with that. And again, as you can see, very delicate, but very pretty. I like the older colored yarn or lace that she used. And then she had this piece, and this is why I say I think it was a veil, but I don't know enough to know. Y'all, this is not my type of crochet. So if any of you know, I would be grateful to know if you know what the pattern is, because I want to complete this. And I will work on some other string before I actually do that, but it is my goal to complete this at least 40-year-old project, probably closer to 60 or 70, because I was 38 when I know she hadn't been crocheting for several years at that point. So, because she was in her 90s. So I'm just going to put it out there. If you know what this pattern is, if you know what this motif is, please let me know, because I am trying to figure it out. Google reverse search is not my friend. And I would love to find a pattern to be able to actually complete this and be able to pass this on to my niece, Princess 1 or Princess 2. And so if you know anything, I would be highly grateful. Thank you, and I hope you have a great Wednesday.